Starts now.
Thank you. So sometimes to understand the world we live in, it helps to tell it as a story. So today I'm going to read you a story about the kingdom of Evermore. Once upon a time, there was, and still is, a kingdom called Evermore. A kingdom I know well, the place I call home. It was famous for its food, endless buffets, bottomless brunches, and avocado toast as far as the eye could see. We built a world on plenty. We conquered hunger, we silenced the seasons, and we filled every plate to overflowing. Every day, people ask for more choice, more comfort, more convenience. Strawberries in January, mangoes in March. No one ever asked how far they travelled or what was lost to bring them there. More than 80% of our fruit and over half of our vegetables came from faraway lands. The soil close to home grew weary, but the shelves still looked full. We called this progress. But over time, something began to change. The food filled our bellies, but not our bodies. We were full, yet somehow tired, well fed, but undernourished. Half of what we ate came from factories, not farms, and chefs noticed that flavors were fading. Meals became products, and ingredients arrived half made, half plastic, and soulless. And as the feast grew, the kingdom began to choke on its own success. Rivers, once clear, frothed with green. Fertilizers washed down from distant fields, choking fish and flooding the estuary. The air grew heavy, a quiet fog of cooking fumes, delivery vans, and the constant hum of a city that never stopped feeding itself. The soil, soaked in chemicals, lost all its insects, and the bees stopped visiting the flowers that still bloomed each spring. Then the weather turned against us. Winters too hot, summers too dry, storms too sudden. Harvest shrank as soils cracked and the rivers ran low. Each season grew a little less predictable, a little less kind. Still, the feast went on. Behind every banquet, the bins overflowed, trays of untouched canapes, half-eaten pastries, and platters of just-in-case sandwiches. Every year, homes across the kingdom threw over 6 million tons of food, meals made with care, wasted with ease. Beyond our walls, nearly 825 million, switched it, people went hungry. And with every bin, we threw away not just food, but fortune. Billions lost each year in good meals never eaten. Then one day, the soil turned pale, and the river shimmered with a strange light. For years, the kingdom had sealed every harvest in plastic. To keep it perfect, to keep it pretty, to keep it profitable. We bottled water, we bagged bread, we shrink-wrapped cucumbers, as though nature's own packaging could no longer be trusted. But the plastic never truly disappeared. It broke apart, drifted through rivers, slipped into the sea, and circled back onto our plates. When scholars tested the food in the water, they found tiny fragments of plastic in fish, in crops, even in us. The feast that once promised life had begun to poison us. And so the arguments began. Buy local, shouted some. Buy organic, cried others. Change the packaging, said a few. But nothing really changed, because buying differently isn't the same as living differently. People still bought too much, planned too little, and wasted the rest. And because of that, the poorest went hungry, while the richest threw away good bread, sourdough, of course. The air thickened, the seas sickened, and our kingdom began to lose its shine. Then one quiet voice, a child standing at the edge of the crowd, asked, "What if the answer isn't growing more, but wasting less? What if we learn to eat food that nourishes us and followed the seasons and made that enough?" The crowd fell silent, and for the first time in a long while, the noise of the city faded. So they did. Families planned meals again, chefs cooked with the seasons, farmers rebuilt their soil, cafes shared surplus with shelters instead of bins, and slowly food tasted alive once more. We discovered that when we ate for health, not habit or convenience, we wasted less. When we ate what was in season, we saved energy, and when we wasted less, we could feed more. Until finally, the kingdom of Evermore found balance again. The rivers cleared, the soil darkened, and the people felt joy once more in waiting for the first strawberry of summer. And ever since that day, we've remembered true abundance isn't about excess. It's about having enough and cherishing it with care. So now I ask you here, in your real world Evermore, of hotels, restaurants, and businesses, what if you remembered that too?